Las Vegas, a city known for its glittering lights, world-class casinos, and endless nightlife. But behind the bright neon signs lies a shocking truth that few are willing to talk about. Overnight, the homeless crisis in Las Vegas has doubled, turning the so-called entertainment capital of the world into a heartbreaking stage of despair. Families with nowhere to go, veterans sleeping on the streets, and entire communities forced into tunnels beneath the city. This is the side of Las Vegas the tourist brochures don't want you to see. How did this happen so quickly? And why are the authorities struggling to keep up with this overwhelming surge? In this video, we'll uncover the raw, unfiltered reality of what's happening on the ground. A nightmare that the city desperately tries to hide from the millions of visitors who come for fun and fortune. Do you believe this is one of the most urgent social issues facing America today? Comment 1 if you agree, or 0 if you're not convinced yet. Enjoy the video and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. And now, let's dive into this shocking story together. Right behind the glittering casinos of Las Vegas, where tourists line up at lavish buffets and throw wads of cash into slot machines, hoping to change their lives, exists a completely different world. Silent, harsh, and raw. Just a few blocks away, you'll find people digging through trash cans for food, weary eyes staring into emptiness, and frail bodies curling up in storm drains to escape the suffocating desert heat. The contrast is so close it's overwhelming, yet so distant it forces us to wonder, how can two opposite realities coexist on the very same street? The city that sells itself as an entertainment paradise has become living proof of deep social division. On one side, music, laughter, and the ringing of jackpot bells. On the other, groans of exhaustion, dragging footsteps in the night, and the chilling silence of forgotten lives. The underground flood tunnels, once built to control storms, have now become an unwilling home for thousands of homeless people, a place with no light, no warmth, only damp air and the stench of despair. Material prosperity can never hide the cracks of an unjust society. A city may build the illusion of wealth, but it cannot forever conceal the shadows of inequality. And the story of Vegas is a warning for us all. Don't be blinded by the surface of success or the dazzling lights. Look instead at how a community treats its most vulnerable. Because true wealth is not measured by the height of skyscrapers, but by how many people are protected from sleeping under the open sky. Vegas teaches us that behind the neon glow lies a darkness society must have the courage to face and change. It sounds unbelievable, but the truth was so cold and brutal it shook the entire city. In just one night, the homeless population in Las Vegas doubled. Dry statistics quickly turned into a collective shock, forcing the public to confront a reality the city had long tried to hide behind its glittering facade. Thousands of new people fell into homelessness within hours, transforming Vegas from the entertainment capital into a haunting stage of despair. Instead of confronting the crisis head-on, city officials tried to control the narrative, downplaying the severity to protect the image of a tourist paradise. But can the truth really stay buried forever? Photos and screaming headlines with the words "doubles overnight" spread rapidly across social media, becoming undeniable proof. A city that can light up the desert with electricity cannot seem to light up hope for the people barely surviving beneath its streets. This shock is a powerful wake-up call for all of us. It reveals the fragility of modern life. Today, you might be a tourist enjoying a vacation, but with one unexpected twist of fate, you too could be caught in the spiral of homelessness. Behind those soaring numbers aren't just statistics, they're thousands of stories, thousands of shattered dreams, and thousands of people desperately longing to be seen as part of society. We cannot build a sustainable community if we keep hiding the truth and turning our backs on the problem. Transparency, compassion, and real solutions are the true light that can break the darkness. Vegas may bury numbers in reports, but it cannot silence the cries for help echoing from the very heart of the city. With millions of tourists gone, particularly those from Canada and the group known as snowbirds, people who live in colder regions but migrate to Vegas during the winter, the tourism and gambling industries in this city are facing an unprecedented crisis. Hotels, once symbols of prosperity, now stand eerily empty. Long hallways that once echoed with laughter and conversation are now silent, with unoccupied beds waiting to be filled. Cash registers are empty, gaming machines stand idle, and hotel staff, housekeepers, bellmen, security guards are all grappling with widespread job losses. This shock is like a domino falling, a small shift in travel habits triggering an unavoidable chain reaction. The hotels are no longer packed with guests, the casinos no longer ring with the sound of coins, and workers are confronted with a harsh reality. No jobs, no income. Some staff members are even having to pack up their lockers and say goodbye to jobs they've held for years. This story is not just about an industry. It's a stark reminder of how fragile economies can be when they rely too heavily on tourism and entertainment. Sometimes, a seemingly small change like a shift in travel behavior can bring down an entire system. Vegas, with all its lights and glamour, is now facing an unavoidable truth. When the tourists stop coming, the entire city bears the consequences. Dependence on a single industry can make an economy incredibly vulnerable. Cities and communities must diversify their sources of income and employment opportunities to avoid sinking into unforeseen crises. And when an industry collapses, it's the workers who bear the heaviest burden. In the heart of Las Vegas, a city known for its luxurious hotels and million-dollar gambling tables, exists a completely contrasting reality. Along the Strip, rows of makeshift tents and pallets stacked together serve as homes for the homeless. Just a few steps away from the flashy casinos, these individuals endure the blistering heat of the desert, with temperatures soaring to 45 degrees. The contrast between the dazzling lights and the shadow of poverty couldn't be more glaring. What makes this image even more bitter is the short distance between wealth and destitution. Those living in these fabric tents not only have to struggle with the brutal heat, but also face social injustice, as the city overlooks them, even though they reside right in the heart of an area considered a symbol of wealth. Just steps away from tables piled with money, wine, and card games, there's an entirely different world where people only hope for a safe place to sleep and a decent meal to make it through the day. The glaring lights and glamour of urban life cannot conceal the harsh realities that exist just beside them. We cannot continue to build a society that focuses solely on appearances while ignoring the fundamental issues of poverty, homelessness, and social injustice. In truth, a city cannot truly take pride in its prosperity if only a fraction of its population benefits from it, while the rest is left behind. This story serves as a reminder of society's responsibility to help the vulnerable and create a fair environment for all. Las Vegas, though a hub of entertainment and opportunity, still needs to learn how to face the darkness within its own city. The homelessness crisis in Las Vegas is reaching alarming levels, with nearly 8,000 homeless people in Clark County as of early 2025. However, the actual number may be much higher. Beyond those living in makeshift tents or temporary shelters on the sidewalks, thousands of others are forced to take refuge in less visible areas, such as broken-down vehicles, storm drains, and even under bridges hidden places that no one sees. Particularly concerning is the fact that this number has increased by 56% in just the past 3 years along the Strip, the heart of the city, once considered a symbol of prosperity and success. This is not just a number, but a humanitarian crisis unfolding right beneath the bright neon lights of Las Vegas. Authorities and community organizations are facing an enormous challenge as the homeless population continues to rise. This issue not only affects the city's image, but also raises major questions about social welfare policies and the capacity of public services to respond. The growth chart of the homeless population is undeniable proof of this escalating crisis. Each bar on the graph represents a year, and the sharp increase from year to year signals loud and clear that this problem cannot continue to be ignored. Las Vegas, though able to spend millions on advertising, events, and image building, is neglecting the very people who live in the shadow of the city, without a place to call home. Unequal development in society will always lead to division and injustice. A city, no matter how wealthy, cannot sustain itself if it neglects the majority of its population. This story is a reminder of the urgent need for effective policies and timely action to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to live a life of dignity. Behind every statistic of homelessness in Las Vegas, there are real people stories full of pain, but also resilience and hope. These are individuals who were once crucial gears in the machine that drove the city, but now struggle to survive under harsh conditions. We might meet a single mother, once a housekeeper at a hotel, who worked tirelessly day after day to provide for her children. She didn't just clean luxury rooms for tourists. She was an essential part of the operation that kept these large hotels running smoothly. But now, the job is gone, and her life has been completely upended. She and her children are forced to survive on the streets, hoping for a safe place to sleep through the night. Next, we have a shuttle driver who once helped millions of tourists travel from hotel to hotel, contributing significantly to the city's vibrancy. He was once a part of Vegas's booming tourism industry, but after the pandemic and economic changes hit, he became one of the hardest hit. No longer a driver, he now struggles to find food and shelter every night. Then there are the veterans men and women who served in the military, giving their youth and strength to their country, but now face a life of hardship with nowhere to call home. They were once honored, but now they're fighting for survival day by day. Right in the city they once believed would offer them opportunity and stability. Behind every statistic of homelessness is a story full of pain and loss. These individuals are not faceless numbers in a report. They were once the backbone of society. They are housekeepers, drivers, veterans, key components in the machinery that ran the city. Overlooking them is not just disrespectful, it's a failure in our system of social justice. Let's not just look at them with pity. Let's recognize that they deserve to be treated as people of value, deserving of a new chance. And what can we, those of us who are more fortunate, do to help them? As Las Vegas continues to grow and establish itself as a global entertainment hub, one of the city's biggest challenges is the severe shortage of affordable housing. With only 18 affordable homes for every 100 low-income households, the lowest in the nation, the gap between demand and supply has created a massive void, making the search for a safe place to call home a luxury for thousands of residents. Old, dilapidated, and overcrowded apartment buildings are struggling to house a massive population with cramped living spaces and inadequate infrastructure. Poor families, especially those who once had stable jobs in the tourism, casino, and service industries, can no longer find a place to live. Neighborhoods close to the city center, once considered homes for working-class individuals, are now becoming the only option for those with nowhere else to turn, forced to accept living conditions that are less than adequate. This issue isn't just about housing, it's about social justice. When basic housing values an essential need for human survival become a luxury accessible only to those with high incomes, the entire social system becomes unjust. The working poor, the very people who helped build this city, are now being left behind in the race for a home, a place to call their own. The lesson from the affordable housing crisis is this: every growing city must prioritize its people. Behind every luxury real estate development and every gleaming neighborhood, there are thousands of people in need of care and support. Without reasonable housing policies for low-income individuals, we will witness more and more people being pushed to the margins of society. When housing becomes a luxury, we must ask, who are we building a city for? And do we not all deserve a safe place to call home, not just a select group, but everyone who is contributing to the prosperity of the community? In Las Vegas, the housing crisis is not just about a shortage, but also a complex financial equation that remains unsolved for thousands of families. With the average household income around $50,000 per year, yet the average home price soaring to $364,000, that's 7 times the annual income. This figure far exceeds the safety threshold recommended by financial experts, which is typically between 3 and 4 times annual income. The growing gap between income and housing costs has created an unbearable financial pressure for low-income workers. While these individuals have contributed their labor to the economy, working in service industries, tourism, and casinos, they still cannot access stable housing. With housing costs consuming the majority of their budgets, many families are forced to sacrifice other basic needs like healthcare, education, or even food. The Affordability Index is a crucial tool used to measure how feasible homeownership is for families. According to these indices, a housing market is considered unaffordable when the ratio of home prices to income exceeds the safe limit of 4 times. For Las Vegas, this disparity has significantly surpassed that threshold, indicating a crisis in balancing income with the cost of living. When housing costs exceed the ability of the majority to pay, communities become deeply divided. Access to housing is not just a financial issue, it's a matter of social justice. Poor families not only struggle to purchase homes, but also to maintain daily life. Housing support policies need to be improved, with more reasonable and sustainable solutions to help people live in a city they helped build. Without changes in housing policies and improvements in worker incomes, home ownership will remain a distant dream for most Las Vegas residents, creating a vicious cycle of poverty and inequality. Is this an unsolvable problem for thousands of families? Do you agree with what we've shared about social inequality and the financial pressures that families are facing? Comment 1 if you agree, or 0 if you don't. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support us. Now let's continue to follow the developments ahead. One of the most heartbreaking and paradoxical realities of the homelessness crisis in Las Vegas is the rise of a group of homeless individuals who still have jobs. About 1 in 5 homeless people are employed, but their income is insufficient to maintain a stable life. Despite having jobs, they still can't afford basic necessities like housing, food, or healthcare. The average wage in the service industry, which makes up a large portion of the workforce in Las Vegas, ranges from $7 to $17.50 per hour. This means a hotel worker, even working 40 hours a week, can only earn around $800 a month, an amount that is not enough to rent a small apartment, or even secure a stable place to rest. Imagine a 55-year-old hotel worker who has dedicated years to the service industry, but only earns around $8 per hour. Even though she works hard every day, her meager wages force her to live in her car, struggling against the desert heat while trying to maintain a semblance of a dignified life. She is not a lazy person unwilling to work. She simply cannot escape the cycle of poverty, even while working every day. Having a job doesn't always guarantee financial stability. Workers in the service industry may toil endlessly, but their wages are insufficient to lift them out of poverty and homelessness. This is the issue with an economic system in which many workers are not paid enough to live a dignified life. The stories of people like this remind us that having a job does not equate to having a stable life. Raising wages, improving working conditions, and developing affordable housing solutions are essential steps to breaking the cycle of poverty and homelessness, helping workers stand on their own feet. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of the homelessness crisis in Las Vegas is the issue of mental health. The rate of mental disorders within the homeless community is much higher than in the rest of society. Many of these individuals not only face poverty and deprivation, but also struggle with invisible wounds, depression, anxiety, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and other psychological issues. These problems not only cause emotional pain, but also create a vicious cycle that's hard to break, leading to addiction and, eventually, job loss, which causes their lives to unravel completely. Access to mental health services in Nevada is a significant issue. The state's public healthcare system is severely lacking in services for the homeless, particularly in the area of mental health care. This means that individuals facing crises do not have adequate support to overcome the psychological and social barriers in their lives. The system is full of gaps, from the shortage of therapists to programs that aren't robust enough to address long-term mental health issues. Every day, we see homeless individuals waiting for hours in clinics, but most of them still can't access the care they desperately need. Quiet streets at night become places where many face panic attacks, negative thoughts, and crushing loneliness. These issues don't just affect them, they place a massive burden on the community as a whole when mental health is not adequately cared for. Mental health cannot be overlooked. Although society has made strides in recognizing mental health issues, many people still cannot access the necessary support. We need to improve mental health support systems, particularly for vulnerable populations like the homeless, so that they don't have to face their psychological pain alone. This is also a reminder that a developed society must ensure that all of its members have access to necessary healthcare services, not just physical, but mental as well. Ignoring mental health is a way of perpetuating injustice, allowing invisible wounds to grow deeper and more painful. When the makeshift tents of homeless individuals along the Strip are dismantled in the blink of an eye, the consequences of this action are not only material losses, but also a blow to the spirit of those who have been struggling daily to find a place to shelter. These tents contained not only belongings, but also important documents such as identification cards, health insurance cards, medications, and personal mementos, all of which are seized or discarded during these forced cleanups. The homeless don't just lose their shelter. They also face the loss of essential documents needed to continue living with any hope. This further complicates their ability to find work, apply for social benefits, or access shelters, tightening the vicious cycle of poverty and homelessness even more. The removal of these tent cities is not a long-term solution. It's merely an action to push these people out of sight. Instead of addressing the root cause, providing affordable housing and the support needed, officials choose to hide the truth about the injustice and poverty happening right within their city. No camping signs are popping up everywhere, but all they do is increase the isolation of those already cast out of society. The lesson from this forced cleanup is clear. You cannot simply clean up a problem by erasing the evidence of it. The homeless are not an issue to be solved by pushing them into hidden corners. They are real people, with the right to live with dignity and have the opportunity to reintegrate into society. The lack of supportive policies and sustainable solutions only worsens the crisis, preventing them from escaping the cycle of poverty. Instead of focusing on erasing the existence of the homeless, society needs to create opportunities for them to stand up, live with respect, and have an equal chance. Only when we confront and address the issue comprehensively can these wounds begin to heal. Although the homelessness crisis in Las Vegas may seem overwhelming and complex, there are still glimmers of hope emerging through the collaboration between major businesses and nonprofit organizations. Corporations such as MGM, Caesars, and several others have started to recognize their social responsibility and are partnering with charitable organizations to support the homeless. These initiatives include providing free meals for those without shelter, creating safe storage lockers to protect their personal belongings, and organizing temporary shelter programs to ease the burden on those with nowhere to go. One of the key projects is job training centers, where homeless individuals can learn new skills to help them secure stable employment. These programs not only help them reintegrate into society, but also give them confidence and a way out of poverty. Additionally, mental health support is slowly improving, with organizations like Kaiser offering therapy services and psychological support to those struggling with invisible wounds. The collaboration between businesses and nonprofits can bring real change to the lives of those left behind. Rather than viewing the crisis as a problem to be eliminated, more sustainable and humane solutions are beginning to take shape. Programs like these show that when the community comes together, every problem can find a solution. Hopefully, these efforts will lay the foundation for a larger change in the future, where everyone can find an opportunity to rebuild their lives not only in material terms, but also emotionally. A brighter future can only come when society no longer leaves anyone behind, but works together to build a more unified and resilient community. The downward spiral is happening right in the heart of Las Vegas, where the decline in tourist numbers is not only affecting businesses, but also triggering a series of troubling events, from job losses to the rising number of homeless individuals. Fewer tourists mean fewer jobs, especially in the service industry, the backbone of Vegas's economy. As thousands of workers in hotels, casinos, and restaurants lose their jobs, they are forced to face a harsh reality, and many of them fall into homelessness. This creates a vicious cycle with no way out. Fewer tourists, fewer jobs, more homelessness, less tourist appeal. As the city becomes less appealing to tourists, the related industries continue to spiral into crisis, making it harder for Vegas to retain its former charm. These alarming statistics are not just a short-term economic threat. They also raise a significant moral question. Is this city willing to invest in sustainable solutions like affordable housing and community development programs? Or will it continue chasing short-term profits, neglecting its responsibility to the people who live here? Investing in affordable housing and community development is not just an option, it's a critical lifeline for Vegas to maintain long-term growth. Without reasonable policies to address homelessness and create sustainable job opportunities, Vegas will not only face a crisis in its image, but will also fall into an irreversible downward cycle. Can we look beyond immediate gains to build a truly livable city for everyone? Or will we continue maintaining a model that serves only the wealthy tourists while neglecting the working poor? Las Vegas needs to act now, or the long-term decline will be inevitable. So, what is the real gamble in Las Vegas? Who are the true losers in this game? Is it the tourists who come with hopes of winning in the casinos only to lose their money? Or is it the residents living in the shadows, losing their homes and place in society, struggling every day to survive? Vegas may still light up the sky with million-dollar fireworks each night, but the most important question is whether this city can protect the lives and dignity of those living right under its neon lights. The lesson from this story is clear. The real gamble isn't just about winning or losing at the casinos, but about the battle between true values, human dignity, and social justice. If Vegas doesn't prioritize its people over the neon lights, it will not only lose its values, but also its identity, becoming a city focused solely on profit while ignoring its social responsibility. If you agree that Vegas should prioritize people over neon lights, comment 1. If you disagree, comment 0. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and spread this story to more people.